Welcome.
Thank you, Mariella, and thank you for this opportunity and to link with people, because in our times that we are living in, we all feel so isolated. And you thought of doing this amazing summit. So, and here we are all linking with each other. And the whole idea of the oracle, okay, is we are all oracles of our own lives in a sense.
Mm.
And that is what Saturn wants us to become in the end, is that after we have going through trials and tribulations and ask ourselves so many questions of how to do things, we can start to structure it. So in days gone by, in days of old, an oracle was sort of the woman sitting on top of a mountain. So
Uh-huh.
as we go up the mountain trail, we have to ask the oracle one question. So as we go in our daily lives and we go up the mountain of our own lives, we often think we have to address this and we have to ask that question and then we have to do so many things. But what if it's only one thing per day that we have to tackle? What if it's only one question that we have to answer? What would that question be? So, the whole idea of an oracle is the most important question that you have to ask yourself today, in any time given, in any situation, and in any difficulty. And at the moment, we are all in a difficult situation. Um, so, what is the one question in your mind that is bugging you the most? So, that is what Saturn wants you to understand. Because Saturn, in the end, is the seventh planet. After you go through the idea of who am I? How do I communicate myself? What is my values in life? How do I act on my values? Expand on that values. Saturn says, now how are you going to build those? So at
Mm.
the moment, what we have is we have our Saturn in Capricorn, and Capricorn is traditionally to build. So we have in our astrology system, we have a male and a female for every planet. So the female Saturn is Capricorn. So what she does is she builds our community, she builds our society. So when we go back to what is polar opposite of Capricorn, it's Cancer. So how do we feel within our community? What can we bring to our community that is nurturing? So
Mm.
as we start to nurture ourselves, we get that feeling of what if we can do this for other people as well? What if other people are also feeling lonely? What if you just pick up the phone and connect? That is a Saturnian step, because what you
Wow.
do is you build community.
Mm-hmm.
So after we get into the Capricorn phase, we go into the Aquarius phase, which is saying, now I have a vision for the future. After you can build and after you can give and after you can nurture yourself in community, you can say, what if there is a future vision of this um, society, of me within the society and the society helping itself? So that is how two Saturns work together. So if we think of portals and we think of pathways, we have been living our lives in a certain way, in a certain pathway for so long, and it's time to restructure, and it's very scary. So, but Saturn is saying, "I'm the teacher." Because how do you get to the next step, to the next phase of your life? It is identifying the specific thing that you need for that specific time in life.
Wow.
So it is the specific structures that you can give yourself, even if it's a little thing every day, even if it's just, I'm going to get up and make my bed to perfection. That is a step that you do. You are building your own environment around you. And that is the Saturnian perspective. And I know that people think that Saturn is, the father waving the finger or something like that. But what if Saturn is the mother that nurtures you from from outside of yourself? Okay,
Yeah.
structuring your life around you. So, from a Kabbalah perspective, is the whole idea of we are not here to suffer. We are here to be co-creators. So if you are becoming a co-creator, you number one create your own environment. You are creating it for you, not in an egotistical sense, but in a sense that once you create it, you can take whatever you have learned from the experience and you can create for other people. So in that regard, we can become all oracles. We can be the sort of the mindset of going forward and creating what has not been there yet for other people as well. And that brings us to the whole idea of neuroscience. If someone else's teach you and give you and tell you what to do, you sort of step away from it and then makes it your own, and then you think, how will I be able to do that? So from a neuroscience perspective, that is not teaching your brain neurogenesis. So neurogenesis only begins when you yourself identify what is lacking or what you want to do with your life, or in this stage, just the next way to just manage your life in a way that you can survive. You are building your own life. And the other
Yeah.
thing that neuroscience teaches us is that you can completely change your brain just by thinking in a different way. It's now
Yes.
been proven scientifically. And I know, 25, 30 years ago, I thought, if science can just get into our brains, all this esoteric stuff will make so much sense.
It's
They
true.
say this is nonsense in your tarot
Yeah.
cards or astrology or angels or what, your empaths. How can
Mm-hmm.
that be true? But now science has proven that we can actually access those stratas in our minds, and we can reconfigure our lives from a biochemical and neurological point of view by starting to think differently. And the first step in co-creation is think differently, and therefore your environment or your possibilities within your environment will become possible. And that is where Saturn comes in. How do I structure this? How do I vision for the future?
Mm-hmm.
So all of us can do that, even if it's, as I said, just a little thing every single day. Because
Yeah.
on that little thing that you change, on that little thing that you actually do, a next step and a next step will reveal itself.
Yeah. This is very important what you said, and it's supposed, it was written in the stars, but nobody could imagine what happened because we couldn't, at that time our perception that was this big, and now it's like this big. But it speaks to me about how, like, for me, what I'm sensing is like I need to learn something bigger. Like, to me, is a deepening into myself so that I can learn something new about myself. And of course it's going to change my identity, which is something that a lot of us have been pushing. It's like, no, I work in this office, I don't want to work from home. Or no, I have this business, I don't want to lose it. Like, we're attached to an identity, and Saturn is bringing a teaching to make us something different, to change that identity in a sense, but to discover something deeper that is even better for us, for the future that is coming, for that vision that we're creating, and for the co-creator that we're becoming.
Yeah, that's very true, because we structure ourselves in a certain way. And an analogy I very often use with my clients is that Saturn rules the knees. So either you're going to stand up for yourself, or you're going to kneel down in front of someone else telling you what to do.
Wow.
So again, it's not an egotistical thing, it's a co-creation thing.
Yeah.
And the next thing from a medical perspective that Saturn rules is the blood. Okay.
Oh,
That is
okay.
Aquarius. Aquarius is the blood. So if you purify your thoughts and you purify your body, and you live in a way that you can structure and stand up, because the other thing that Saturn rules is the skeleton, the bones. Okay.
Mm.
So if you start to run with your knees or walk with your knees or sit up straight, you're already changing your energy, because now your chakras can actually work, you know.
I see.
And if you start to meditate with your feet on the floor, you're grounding yourself.
Yeah.
So think of yourself as a tree. Think of yourself as very flowy. So the only way you can really transform your life is by being supple like a tree. If you are too rigid, you'll break, okay? And if you are not standing up straight, you'll fall down. So all of those analogies are very Saturnian, without the imposing, again, wagging finger thing. So you will have to start to say, but I am my own teacher. I can do this because I can. And just by that switch of mindset, we're still going to be scared. We're still
Yeah.
not going to know what to do. But just by that mindset of, but I want to change, there is a way to change, the answers will come to you. You become the teacher, but you also become the student. Because the most important things that a teacher can understand is a teacher learns by the questions that the students are asking.
Exactly.
Yeah. It is, what do you hear and how do you then explain it? So what do you hear in your environment around you? What do you hear from people that are oracles? And then how do you explain it to yourself? So whether you write it down, whether you go into that beautiful state of just awake and then set your day for yourself, or going into a meditation, or just before you sleep, just that changeover of conscious unconscious is incredibly powerful. And I mean, we can measure that. We can measure the way that the brain changes energy. We can measure you daydreaming even and go into the theta state. You bring it back into the beta state. You go into the alpha state. Just looking at something like the wind in the leaves is a meditation. That is a focused attention. And immediately your brain waves changes. It changes from racing to more fluid. So we can do these little tricks with ourselves. Just stay into looking at clouds. I mean, it feels so sort of, who looks at child at it's a child's thing to do, but children know how to do this. And even someone like Gustav Jung, he put himself into a state of mind of receiving information by following the way an ant walks, just looking at one ant. So what that does to our brainwaves is focusing it. It's focusing on one thing and it becomes a meditation. So you can, with 5 minutes meditation here and 5 minutes meditation there, you can bring yourself to a state of ease where you can bring yourself in a state of creation. So throughout your day, practice that. Daydreaming is okay, really it is. And that is how we connect back to ourselves, back to our own inner teacher, inner teacher and inner teacher. So then again, pay attention to your dreams when you wake up. What did you dream about? Did you dream? Even if you can't remember it, what kind of sense did you get from your sleep? And put yourself to sleep by the whole idea of gratitude. What was amazing for that day? Because that is also linked to the oracle that teaches you from inside.
That's great. Great recommendations, Heiltje. So Tell me a little bit more about, because the way that you do astrology is a little bit different from the Kabbalah perspective.
Mm-hmm.
What are they working right now? What are your programs? How do you are helping people?
You know, the most important thing from a Kabbalah perspective is that I am not allowed to tell you what to do. I can facilitate that you can find it within yourself. Because from their perspective, and remember Kabbalah is a philosophy, is that the moment I impose me on you, my will on you, the moment I tell you what to do, I steal your choice. You still have a choice. So everything in Kabbalah is about free will, and it is about free will to be your own creator. And within that, doing it with joy and pleasure. You were never meant to suffer. You were meant to understand something. So within the suffering, there's a methodology to bring you to an understanding. And that is how we do astrology, is bringing you to a state of this is where you are now at. This is the idea of your patterning. And within your patterning, you create a pathway with your choices and make the choice something that is part of who you are as a patterned being in this flesh.
Nice. So now how do we find you? You're bringing everything that you're saying is just, I feel how I'm more center I am just by listening to you. So what if I need you? I need your help. Where do I go, Heiltje? Because I think I need your help.
You need my help. Okay, the best way to contact me is email me or send me a message. So do you have it there? Do you have my email there?
I don't have your email. I have your website. I will send an email with
Website
all
perfect.
your. Okay.
That it is perfect. Go to the website, contact me, and yeah, and from a coaching point of view, is
Yes, that too.
yeah,
You're doing coaching now, right? Correct?
yes, and it's also from a neuroscience point of view, is that I'm going to facilitate and help you to teach yourself how to go create your own life. I'm not doing it for you. I'm helping you to get there. So
that sounds very good. Now, my last question for you is like astrology. How can astrology help us in our spiritual path?
okay, that is a fabulous question, because remember, we are the third planet in the solar system. Okay, so we get the sun, which is the soul of the solar system, the logos of the solar system. Everything that happens throughout this whole entire solar system is linked to the sun. Our seasons is linked to the sun. Okay, the tilt of the earth is linked to the sun. So when people ask you what is your sun sign, they get to the heart of you. They ask you, what does your heartbeat say about you? Because that is also the chakra of your heart, okay, that is the link between your survival structure and your higher structure where you can actually do and be. So within our solar system and our astrology system, we've got the sun, which is the self. We've got the moon, which is the soul. And we've got the earth, which is where you live your dharma on. That is where you live and toil. So all the other planets then becomes the intelligences of how do you think about who you are and how do you learn things. How do you value you, number one, and how do you want other people to value you, and how do you value everything around you, because everything is given to us. How do we act on that? How do we expand within our wider community? What is your philosophy? So all of those questions can be answered. And once we understand who we are and how we think, we go to the higher thinking octaves of how do we bring wisdom into our lives? And once we understand the value of life given and received, we can go to the value system of the spiritual. And once we understand that every action that we do, everything that we do should be constrained in a way, that it should also be enhancing in another way. And then whatever we do is linked to the idea of transformation. So what
Yes.
I've done now is Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars. Okay, then we go in Jupiter,
Wow.
Saturn, and we go into the higher octaves of Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto.
Included, yeah.
So once you understand that structure, that patterning of who you are, and you know within your those steps that we do throughout our lives, you know where you are now and what your soul is trying to teach you, then from that perspective, almost all your answers are there.
Yeah.
You know,
I
so
definitely know. I remember coming to you when I became pregnant because I just needed to know like how this is going to go. I need to have a roadmap of how this is going to go. And it was very helpful. You told me what to work on and it kept me focused. Like everything else that tried to come into my life is like, no, this is what I need to work on right now. This is what my life is unfolding, so I'm going to stay focused on this. So I know it definitely helped me. And 2021 is coming, and the changes are still coming as well. So
yes, yes,
definitely, it helps. I can see that it helps.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Heiltje, for all this information, your wisdom. Thank you.